So I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is there's a 5 out of 6 chance that humanity isn't going to be wiped out in the next 100 years. The bad news is pretty obvious. There's a 1 in 6 chance that we're all gonna die. And that's according to this new book, What's the Worst That Could Happen by Andrew Leigh. Over the course of the book, a bunch of different ways the world might end is outlined, and individually, all of them is pretty unlikely, but together, they're still unlikely, 1 in 6 chance, but that's still not really within the comfort zone, is it? Like, that means you are more likely to die in an apocalypse than in a car accident. So there's good reason to pay attention to this. Now, there's a bunch of different ways the world might end, according to the book. One is that we develop an artificial intelligence that's so advanced that we accidentally give it the wrong instructions and then it wipes us all out. Another one is a pandemic, but specifically a bioweapon. Like, there are already deadly diseases out there. They could easily be made deadlier and more contagious using gene editing technology, and one of those could quite easily get out of control and wipe us out. The climate change chapter is terrifying. Like, truly alarming. I've read a fair few books about climate change. I even wrote one. My very first novel, The Lab, was set in a world where Australia is surrounded by a giant wall to combat rising sea levels, and the main character fantasizes about going beyond the wall and escaping to some other country that isn't run by an evil corporation. And at the end, spoiler warning, he discovers that there are no other countries left. They're all underwater. So that's so this is an issue that is close to my heart, but even I hadn't imagined that it might be this bad. Instead of focusing on the chances that climate change, the likelihood that it's bad, Andrew Leigh focuses on the possibility that it's not bad, it's catastrophic, as in turning Earth into Venus catastrophic, as in you can't go outside because the humidity is high enough. It turns out if you get to 100% humidity, like temperatures of 40 plus can just kill you because there's nowhere for your sweat to go, if that makes any sense. So this book is not a relaxing read, it's a deeply frightening one. I also feel like it's an important book, so I would recommend that you give it a go. If I can talk politics for a minute, I try not to do that. I don't think you make any friends by talking about politics on the internet, and I also don't think you convince anybody, because you the people who agree with you just give themselves a pat on the back, and the people who disagree with you just turn you off, so because that's the easiest thing to do. But this book has shifted my politics a little bit. One of the aspects of that is I'm really glad that I read it straight after reading what's it called? Who Gets to Be Smart by Bree Lee. Because Who Gets to Be Smart was a really good book, but it was also pretty strongly anti-university. This book is pretty strongly anti-populism. It talks about the ways populism might bring about the end of the world, and populism itself is pretty strongly anti-university. So this gave me a kind of nice counterpoint to the Bree Lee book. But also, since we were talking about climate change a minute ago, I feel that the current federal government has done an abysmal job in preparing us for and preventing climate change. I don't think that's a controversial viewpoint. But I also was kind of disappointed when the opposition party, the Labor Party, announced their climate targets. I didn't think those were ambitious enough in fact, ambition is the wrong word. I didn't think they were adequate, which means that there's kind of no hope other than a hung parliament or a minority government. So I was probably going to vote that way. But Andrew Leigh is in, so not only is he a good person, I've met him several times, but he is in the Labor Party, which is running for opposition. And this book makes it clear that Andrew Leigh understands the scale of the problem in a way that I have not seen any other politician talk about ever. Like, not even in the Greens or anywhere else. Like, Andrew Leigh gets this in a way where I felt very seen. So he's got my vote, if nothing else, and I would highly recommend the book. Now, usually at this point in my video, I would give you a choice about what you want me to review next. But this book is about to come out. It's called The Woman in the Library by Sulari Gentill. Usually I'm talking about books long after they've been published, long after everyone's lost interest. This is hot off the presses and it's fantastic. So I'm going to tell you about that next time. Thanks for watching. I am Jack Heath, author of Kill Your Brother and various other books over here. I will see you next time.